And welcome back to the European Challenger Series Summer Finals, where Misfits are looking to secure a 3-0 sweep after what was a statement win against Millenium in Game 2. I mean, it is kind of what we expected. I want to jump straight into a replay and start talking about exactly just how Misfits are dismantling Millenium. Pull the first replay up of the first blood from Game 1, and Stress, talk me through the decision-making, first of all, to get the flash here, and then the follow-up gank like 2 minutes later.
Yeah, so looking at this was just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Game 2 this was, with the Taric in the bottom lane as Tabs was playing Jhin. So very early on, this is before minions have really even spawned, they already get the flash from Tabs. And what that tells you is, well, where's Wisdom going to go? It's going to be bottom lane. This should have been a fairly tough matchup for Misfits in the laning phase, but one summoner being down against the Taric with a Rek'Sai early gank makes for a very different laning phase. And this has happened time and time again. We've watched them take bad lanes and turn them right around.
Pretty much. I mean, this is what we expect from that duo lane as well. Like, we expect them to go and get these 2v2s also with the help of Wisdom. But I mean, this was just the other world line, right? Where they get the early game and it goes well for them, so they just go hard for the rest of the game and close it out. Talking
about going hard, second replay, let's pull that up onto your screen. It's a fight just after the Infernal Drake goes down. Stress, I know you were talking about this one in particular, the Gnar Taric combo. We were a little on the fence about Taric and picks and bans, but then we had to just say, well, it's Misfits.
Millenium weren't watching the Naba here. Like, as soon as it hits the yellow here, I said, as we were watching it, it's like, hey, there's a triple kill coming up here at least. Like, 3 people are getting slammed into that wall. Taric's going to follow up. Millenium took their eyes off the prize in this second replay that we have, and from there, it's a really difficult fight to actually take home, because you've already lost so much health, and that just consistently happened time and time again.
Pull that replay up onto your screen so we can actually take a look at the fight there, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, look, watch Alphari's Naba here. They think they've caught him for the majority of this fight. Teleport's already coming down, but they've not taken any health off him. All they've allowed him to do is stack up. 3-man stun. Wallop comes out from it as well, and from here the damage follow-on is just easy for Misfits. They constantly are getting these 3 versus 1 scenarios, selfies under a turret against Tabs because he knows he's that far ahead. Like, there's nothing Millenium can do as soon as they commit to that fight.
Honestly, you could have freeze-framed it right there, and it's just like, at this moment, Millenium knew they had screwed up. And that was just that was the rest of the game. I was looking at the players over there, and comms were basically silent when Misfits were going for like Baron, etc. Like, they were just sat in their base, just like twiddling their thumbs. It's like, well, this game's done.
There was another point in my mind that Millenium screwed up, and it was all the way back at first pick. Picking Trundle, a split pusher that doesn't particularly do so well in the laning phase against Gnar, is exactly what is going to happen when you picked a split pusher that doesn't do very well in the laning phase against Gnar in Game 1 and got destroyed anyway. The Gnar was open, Alphari proved that he would dominate in that kind of matchup already in Game 1, and Millenium picked themselves into it.
So gentlemen, we are 2-0. Misfits are doing in Game 2 what we were expecting, but I have some numbers for you. This is a team that's mechanically better than their opponents, making better decisions than their opponents. Game 1, an average gold lead of about 1,600. Well, not average, it's fact. Game 2, at 15 minutes, 5,300 gold lead. Pulse, if I think back to about an hour and a half ago, those numbers are eerily similar.
Yeah, it's almost like I've heard that before, maybe from James Stress O'Leary, who was doing those exact same stats.
But what does it mean, Pulse?
It means that Millenium are just back in the driver's seat. They're back to what they were doing in regular season. It's just like they've had all their confidence. Maybe Game 1 was like a warm-up for them, and Game 2, they just know they have this confidence now. I don't know, but we're back to regular season, boys.
And if this is anything like last week's semi-final, which it feels eerily similar, this third game is going to be a lane swap, which goes a little bit longer, but Misfits will still come out with a fast win.
Okay, lane swap. This is usually where I would sit and say, all right, guys, would you like to update your predictions? Would you like to? I'm not going to do that. Because this is what Misfits are playing for. Let's see if they can close it out in 3. The casters are just about to take it away as the teams are setting up on stage. Let's take a look at Game 3 from Misfits Millenium.
Thank you very much. Quick shot, of course. Ready. Waiting. Anticipation. Game 3. Millenium, can they bring it back? Truth looks pretty grim.
Today, on the 3rd game of Challenger.
I mean, we're not... You got to call it like you see it sometimes. And things look grim.
Right now, Millenium are down in the dumps, and they need a mighty big ladder to climb them out of that one.
Maybe this is the anime protagonist moment, you know? Maybe this is where they push up the glasses that's been inside them, the potential the whole time, and then they're just going to start crushing face.
Well, to me, it's very much like the moment in Avengers Assemble, where you have Loki walk up to the Hulk or and he's just like, I am a mage. I am the greatest. You cannot defeat me. And then Hulk's literally just like, smash, 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 smash.
That would be a pretty big turnaround in this series.
No, because I'm saying that Misfits is the Hulk. And I
that
feel
would
like
not be a turnaround. That would be exactly what we've seen.
That would exactly what we've seen. And I feel like that unless somehow they find some sort of anti-Hulk juice, then Millennium are going to be struggling to somehow bring this back and find the reverse
Your
sweep.
command of the English language is just impeccable. Anti-Hulk juice. Ugh. All right, Gnar taken off the table now, clearly identified as a weak point for the team. Misfits are keeping the bans the same. We've talked about this. They don't have to change anything up. The question is, how are Millennium going to adjust their strategy? And it looks like, once again, the answer is taking Lucian away from Hans Sama. That is an incredibly bold first pick.
While it is a bold first pick, it does make some sense because Hans definitely performs well on the Lucian. The thing is, I feel like so far in the series, very little conversation has been actually on Hans Sama. A lot of it has been Ignar roaming around the map, Wisdom setting up all of his laners for success, and Selfie just being a dominant mid-lane madman.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Hans is doing some work, right? But at the end of the day, he's doing a very good job. He's doing his job as an AD carry, but it's not like he's been put in a position where he's had to outplay anyone.
Exactly.
His support, his jungler have been everywhere on the map, and they have brought that lead to him every time. This time around, however, Sivir, left open, left available, he's going to pick that one up, but it's not nearly as lane dominant as that Lucian, but the Wisdom pick stays the same. Once again, getting their hands on this Rek'Sai.
Third game in a row. Why fix something that ain't broken, Sifa? I mean, he's been doing a great job on it so far. Game 1, he prioritized heavily on vision control, making sure that his slightly passive laners could have a safer time, slowly building up their lead through farm. Whereas in Game 2, he went hyper-aggressive build. He went for that Titanic Hydra. He went for the very early Cinderhulk smite buff because he basically wanted to say, I'm ready to trade, I'm ready to fight, and this time I'm ready to get myself some ganks. And this time, he was able to do it. So Game 3, we'll have to see how he shifts things up, as picking up the Sivir means that Misfits going much more towards, well, the same as we saw in Game 2, which is very much about team fighting, because Sivir, fantastic with these ricochets once she gets a couple items under her belt.
Now the question is going to be, what do they opt for here? Vladimir has been taken away from them. Do they take the opposite side of the matchup? Do they go for the Victor for Selfie?
Well, Zir is banned away, and in Game 1, that is what Selfie decided to go for. But with that unavailable, he could go for the Victor himself. Bit of a rough matchup early on, but he has a number of options available. He's saving it for that last pick so that he can pick more towards the whole composition of Millennium rather than just the lane.
This, on the side of Millennium, I feel like building a strong comp, a standard comp. Misfits, this is the murder train, Vedius. This is an Alistar, Sivir, Rek'Sai. And I mean, that Trundle, here's the thing, Alfari, we know him right now to be the stronger top lane with Gnar in his hands. But for most matchups, Gnar not included, Trundle is insanely lane dominant.
The thing is, not only is Trundle insanely lane dominant against pretty much everything else that is left on the table for Millennium, but also Sivir, Alistar, typically you wouldn't consider, oh, that's a terrifying 2v2 lane, you don't want to be going up against that. But we saw this duo lane, this combo in particular, getting a 2v2 outplay in the semifinals. And that is just terrifying to me to think that both Hans and Ignar can do that on a champion like Alistar, like Sivir, which typically in the early game not the strongest, but if you combine those, the headbutt pulverize into a full channel boomerang that doesn't hit any other minions, you can do a lot of damage, and they're looking to do that once more against a Janna, interestingly enough.
And the Shen as well. Shen for Kaze, I like the pick. Should be a pretty solid matchup against the Trundle, but Janna, this is a big question mark. Now, Krepo and I got the pleasure of casting a Janna game last week, and it didn't do anything.
Funny that.
It didn't do anything. I mean, it's a vulnerable pick. It's great at disengage, but who are you disengaging for?
I mean, the Alistar all in, the potential of the Sivir coming in as well. Obviously, the composition from Misfits is very much about, I'm going to run at you. You can set up the flank with Alfari, but there's not as much risk as there was the Gnar before, where he could just come in and throw that big ult. You can potentially use the pillar, but the only real hard crowd control that Misfits have is with the Alistar. So, and with the potential knock-up from the...
and with the Malzahar.
But I mean, he's not really going to be your initiator.
That's fair.
He's not going to be the one to start these fights. So Misfits very much about running at you, and the Janna's very much to say, whoa now, you want to run at us? Well, I'm going to be that disengaged.
Well, and while I think that is a valid point, and I think will be a decent answer, to what Misfits have to bring to the table. You push people away with Janna, Lucian has to run back to get in range. So does Vladimir. I mean, these are short-range champions. These are champions that want to be up in the thick of it. It just feels, I mean, it feels like Millenium are drafting purely for comfort here.
Well, we'll have to see, because this time it's going to be pretty on the Vlad, tabs on the Lucian, which is exactly what Misfits had in Game 1. Let's see if they can do it better, or sorry, what they had in Game 2. Let's see if they can do it better now in Game 3, because if there was a time to shine, this would definitely be it.
Absolutely, and ladies and gentlemen, as we gear up for our third game, head on over to Twitter. Hashtag MSF win, hashtag MIL win. This could be your last chance. Or can Millenium bring it to a Game 4? Let's hear what you have to say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Game 3. Challenger champion spot on the line. First seed coming into the promotion tournament. So much at stake for both of these teams.
And we got a Mouse, boys. Let's talk about Mouse.
Malzahar?
Yes.
Would love to. Crepo says that this lane, they never hit each other and it's boring, but I always see them trade like crazy. What are your thoughts?
So, I actually did a lot of testing with a very good friend of mine with Malzahar. We sat in a custom game for at least 2 hours, basically playing around with Malzahar in a bunch of different matchups. And the thing is, Malzahar has a window, 1 to 5, where he's actually susceptible to a lot of trades, because the cooldown on his passive is very, very long. It's about 30 seconds at level 1, which means that if you just walk up basic attack him, then now his passive is down. And because his base stats are pretty low, it's actually very easy to trade back with him, especially with the cooldowns being very low, very long. It's actually very easy for you to just walk up and trade, and Vladimir, in the early game especially, can actually be as aggressive as he wants. And if Malzahar is concentrating on trading back, yes, they can go back and forth fairly evenly, but that means that Selfie is then going to get pushed underneath the turret, which is going to hurt his early game farming. The moment Selfie hits level 5 into level 6, the all-in potential is massive for a potential gank in the mid, but also there is no way that Vladimir is going to be able to match the pushing potential that Malzahar has come the level 7 mark. So it's actually a really interesting matchup, and if you're going to see any aggression coming out from the side of Millenium, there is a very small early game window that you can take advantage of. The question is, do Millenium understand Malzahar well enough to try and take advantage of it?
Well, Pretty does move in. Takes a bit of damage back in exchange. Now, my question is, we are repeatedly seeing standard lanes come out, but Misfits now with the range disadvantage in this bottom lane, do you think this is the right choice for them in the end?
Well, it's what the people wanted, Sifa. This is what the audience has come for. No lane swap shenanigans. And for Misfits, I feel like this is a pretty rough lane.
So much damage down.
But Tab's taken a lot of return poke, but as I was mentioning earlier, this is a bit of a rough matchup, simply because you have... the thing you have to think about whenever you look at a bottom lane is, alright, if you compare the two supports initially, range versus melee. Melee is always going to struggle, right? Because you're just going to gradually get poked down. There's very little you can do about it. But the all-in from Misfits is actually very good, especially come the level 6 mark. If they can get that early level advantage, maybe get the early level 2, the risk of the all-in is very dangerous.
Ooh,
but
good
Millenium
knock-up.
getting the early level 2 means that they are the ones that are going to push Misfits around. And so far early on, Millenium are going to have the edge. But we saw this in Game 2. They burnt their flash early on and Wisdom punished it. Right now, it's going to be much harder for Wisdom to get that same sort of punishment.
You can see, I mean, already it's going to be a struggle here. Pressure moving in favor. I mean, this feels like the first time for Millenium that they've been able to pressure out so reliably in this lane, but the downside is that Kaze is already losing in the top lane by a pretty decent margin, 5-15. That wave is going to crash into the tower. He will be able to recoup some of that CS, but we're going to have to see how much he can actually even up here, because things already not off to a great start for the top laner on the side of Millenium.
Well, this is just the nature of Trundle. Not only can he be quite the lane bully, but Shen is just one of those safe top laners that can trade relatively well if you manage your abilities effectively, but still, he's not very much about being lane dominant. It's about, I'm not going to die. Excuse me, I'm not going to die, but I'm also not going to kill you. And that's not really what you want against a Trundle, who's very much about, once I get 2 items, I'm going to be this split push menace that no one's going to be able to deal with. And in the hands of Alfari, a guy that's very well known for being this very dominant side lane pusher, if you give him that early lead, then he can very easily run away with it.
Yeah, and you can see the mid lane. A lot about pressure right now, where Pretty is losing out at least a little bit, but we'll start to push that wave towards Selfie.
So you can see this early game mark, Pretty is being aggressive because he knows that the cooldown is very long, And Selfie is investing all of his mana into actually trading back, which against a Vladimir who has a lot of sustain isn't that bad. But the fact that Wisdom is donating this very early blue to Selfie is a dream come true for any Malzahar. Because you can run into some pretty severe mana problems early on, because you have a fairly small mana pool and your abilities actually cost quite a lot of mana. But the fact that he's got this means that Selfie can be as aggressive as he wants. He can spam his abilities, going to easily clear out this wave. And oh man, I mean, as a mid laner, getting that is just like...
Well, I mean, it feels... Whenever we watch Fnatic play, I feel like Fevin never gets a blue buff ever. And it's the exact opposite when we're watching Misfits. Selfie gets every blue buff.
Yeah.
Because this guy is consistently playing Rek'Sai in the jungle. Selfie is always getting those early blues. And I mean, it's a good look for him. So much more comfortable in the laning phase with just an innate early advantage.
Yeah, Selfie, I mean, blue suits you. It matches your eyes. Really like it. I think you can pull the color off well.
And we got blue in the items department as well.
Just all about that blue, man.
Selfie, color coordinated here today.
Joko trying to match a bit of early aggression by stealing away some of the counts. Going to be unsuccessful, but he is doing a good job with the early vision. You can see top half of the river, warded out by Joko. Keeping an eye on whether or not Wisdom's trying to set anything up. But fortunately for Millenium, he is not. Now we've hit the level 5 mark for Malzahar. Now it will become a big pushing fiasco. But Selfie, he can afford to be a lot more aggressive because of that blue buff. Pick up, meanwhile in the bottom lane, Tabs and Masterwork actually holding good control. But because of how talented Hans and Ignar are, the actual CS differential is not that big. And come the level 6 mark, that all-in potential is always a big risk that the Millennium have to be aware of.
And additionally, we look at the stakes set if you do lose and or win a team fight. Infernal Drake is up and available. Towers, all at full health, but if you win hard enough, you can snowball that gold advantage so quickly. At the same time, the double melee matchup in the top lane. Wisdom now pressuring out in the mid wave. Just the drive-by gank, just wants to let him know that he's there. Throws a tunnel down, maybe hoping to make a repeat performance later.
I'm watching you. I'm watching you. It's just going to walk away. Do a bit of counter jungling. Get some deep vision down. But nothing too dramatic happening as of yet. Tabs going for a bit of a cheeky trade.
I'm going to miss out on the spell shield. A rare mistake. Pushed back, though, by Ignar. Knocked up again. That's the boomerang blade. So much damage. Tab knowing better than to commit for that trade, though. He's just going to back off.
Like, I get what Tabs was trying to do there, because he wanted to close the gap between him and Hans, because he knew that he would win. But you also created a gap between you and Masterwork, which means that not only are you asking Ignar to engage onto you, but then you also have no options for the support to come out from Masterwork, which was just surprising, because that's the big thing about Janna. When you go in for a trade, because of the shield and the bonus AD that you get, when you actually go in for trades, you typically come out ahead, which is why you want to avoid trading against Janna. But Tabs not quite taking advantage of that. Blue buff being stolen away from Misfits, going to successfully get it.
Dragasol goes in, trying to steal that one away. Kaze potentially in trouble. Wisdom just going to back off. They don't want to risk going in for too much, but Selfie's on the way. Ultimate available for the Malzahar. Does burn his ghost, though, and is not going to get anything back. No summoner spell exchange on Sama. Quick little tornado to stop that back, buying a little bit of extra time here on the bottom side.
Yep. Right now, teleport is down for Kaze, but he does have his ultimate available.
And he goes.
Just wondering right now what the junglers are looking to try and do, because Wisdom, this time he realizes that there aren't many great opportunities for him to set up, so he's reverted back to what he was doing in game 1, which is very much about controlling vision, setting up safety for his laners. He realizes, okay, we're going for more of a scaling composition once again. Mal's likely going to go for the Morellonomicon, as Ignar, very aggressive onto Joko.
What? It does not matter what this man plays. There are opportunities for him to invade every single time, and Joko, yeah, he's going to get the red buff. But my God, you got to be careful. Ignar at any moment can look for that headbutt pulverize combo. Selfie consistently behind him. Maybe they look for the ultimate. Chain those abilities together. Keep one target locked down and knock them out. Once again, this game, like game 1, very controlled in the early game. No early opportunities for Wisdom.
Selfie can kill pretty here.
Oh, he's going to go for the ultimate. Ignar on the way in, keeping the chain CC going. No opportunity. Perfect chain coming in, and that's first blood for Misfits.
Pretty should have expected that. There was a level 8 Selfie. There was the risk of the all-in once he hit level 6. Pretty had taken so much harass. He didn't have the Crimson Rush. I guess what made matters worse was he was not expecting the roaming Ignar, and after game 2 he should have, but now look at dive in the top.
Here we go. Spirit's Refuge goes down, buys a little bit of time. Alphari tanking the tower, using the ultimate though. There's no resistances left for Shen. Flash away, flash forward. Chomp goes down. Kaze gonna drop. The Prey Seeker closes it out for Wisdom.
Another great dive in the top half of the map, setting up Alphari for a success once again. 83 to 68 in Alphari's favor. This happened in game 2, where a bad matchup has now turned even worse for Kaze, and that Trundle is going to become a menace that honestly Millennium are not going to have an answer for.
Just gets harder and harder from this point out. 2K gold lead in the favor of Misfits. Tabs doing what he can to make moves on the bottom side, but just does not have the raw power necessary to take advantage of the lead that he's built for himself. 13 CS, not enough to overcome the 2 kills present on the side of Misfits, as well as their massive CS advantages in the top lane and the mid lane as well.
You can see Joko hanging around. Ignar going for the headbutt pulverize combo to get for a bit of a cheeky trade onto Tabs. Not going to result in anything significant though. But Wisdom and Joko are going to intercept one another.
Knock up, as you mentioned in game 1. Just 2 guys passing each other.
Whales in the ocean floor. It's a common saying from where I'm from. Sort of.
It's not, is it? You're trying to take advantage of the fact that I know nothing about your culture at all.
That's the Badger.
Hansama says back off. I'll take that mana. I'll take that tornado, and I'll pressure out on the bottom side here. But Joko's moving in. I think he's just going to continue his jungle clear, though. No real opportunity to dive out here on the bottom side.
So I don't know if it's getting hot in here, if it's just me. Oh, no, it is, in fact, the Inferno Drake. We mentioned it earlier on. That could be a big point of contention between the 2 teams.
Getting that to stop. That was awful.
Yo, it's a slow early game. You gotta throw those in there from time to time. See if I give people a nice little chuckle. That's what I like to do. I'm the chuckle man. You're just like, ha, that was funny. But anyway, look at Wisdom. Looking for another dive in the top lane.
Maybe one more. Rinse and repeat seems to be the name of the game this time around. But this time, Wisdom is tanking the tower. Spirit's Refuge going down. Kaze. Is he just going to get dove out here again? Wisdom, expert tanking on the tower. He's going to drop one more time. And Misfits, they just make it look so easy.
Clean dive once again. Alphari just stealing away all of his stats, which means that Kaze can do absolutely nothing about it. With the Tiamat completed, as Ignar comes in for a roam mid.
Oh, Pool comes out. No tower aggro drops, and Pretty just going to have to back off here.
Look at how aggressive Selfie's playing. You need to be careful. Masterwork has joined the fray.
Oh, Tornado comes in. They're trying to knock Selfie back. Has he overcommitted? It looks like it. Uses the ult, but isn't going to get anything back in the end. Misfits overextend.
Big oopsie there from Selfie. Looks like he was too busy focusing on trying to get damage down onto Pretty and did not notice that Joko had come in from the flank. Yes, Joko did have to use his flash, but he gets himself a kill. Now with control over the mid lane and with Wisdom, in the top half of the map, Millennium should be able to net themselves the first Dragon and the first Infernal of the game.
Could pay off dividends if they're able to take this game any later, but they may have to give up the Rift Herald in exchange, and that top lane matchup already going against them. 86 CS to 119, almost a 40 differential at this point in the game. It's only going to continue to grow if he gets his hands on this Glimpse of the Void. 20 minutes. Oh, that's just going to be one terrifying Trundle, and I'm really wondering how Millennium are going to respond to this.
Well, in all honesty, they just need to do damage control at this point, because Kaze, as we mentioned earlier, he's likely not going to dive, but then at the same time, he's not going to do anything to the Trundle. So have a look at this. Look at how aggressively Selfie's playing. He should have spotted Joko very early on, but instead he was more focused on actually trying to force Pretty away from the turret, which means that Joko can very easily come in from the flank to set up the kill. Masterwork, he did use his W early on to burn the passive of Selfie, which means he did not have it available for the flank that came in from Joko, and it netted in him losing his life. So first death over to Misfits, or 4 Misfits even, but still, 3,500 gold in their favor.
Exactly where you want to be. I mean, it's not the 5K gold lead from last game.
I mean, they still have, what, like a minute left to net themselves another 2,000 gold. But yeah.
Is this the minute, Vedius?
Is this the minute to change everything? Pretty. He has his flash, so no real risk of Ignar going for the collapse. But now we see the 1-3-1 being set up from Misfits. typical trend that we regularly see from them. Seems to be a strategy that they make work. And I like how Wisdom always prioritizes the side of the map that is most likely to be at risk. In game 1, we saw it from Alphari, simply because he was struggling a little bit. A lot of ganks came out from Joko. Then in game 2, he set up Alphari very nicely early on. So he then put a lot of attention onto helping Selfie out, and now he's doing the same again. A lot of vision in the bottom half of the map, especially the river, to enable Selfie to play as aggressively as he wants, and to just allow Miles to do Miles things.
Exactly where he wants to be. You can see Hans, though, more than comfortable in that bottom lane. Not the same story for Kaze on the top side. He's going to have to blow that flash. Run away from that Trundle. 40 CS advantage coming in big. Jaina just trying to discourage any further aggression with that Zephyr, but man, I mean, that Trundle already has the Ravenous Hydra. He's already just going to sustain up through any poke you put him through.
He's going to be a beefy Trundle.
Yeah. I mean, massive lead in the jungle
One would
too as well.
say Hulk-like.
But Vedius, do Millennium have the anti-Hulk juice?
Well, this is the question, because right now, it looks like they don't. And to be honest, Alphari, if given the opportunity, will look to smash. And now what they've actually done is they've relegated Kaze to the bottom half of the map to try and do with Selfie. And they said, look, I don't have a counter to smash, so maybe I can counter Void Magic. But because he's decided to go no magic resistance, Selfie can just bully him around. Kaze can't match the wave clear, and so, sure, you're less likely to die, but you're still going to gradually lose your turrets and your base if you just stay in the 1v1 against a Malzahar. In fairness, one of the big counter picks in Korea to a Shen was a Malzahar, because you cannot counter the push. So while I like the swap up from Millennium to try and avoid the Trundle matchup, I feel like it's not really any better against the Mals. If anything, it could be worse.
Well, now, too, Misfits are just able to respond so easily because they have the pressure advantage here. They just send Selfie back to the top side. Now Alphari's on the bottom.
Again.
It's his frozen domain. He's hulking out. He's hitting on that tower. And Selfie more than happy to just clear out the waves here. There's no way Lucian and Jaina can pressure this out.
So satisfying when those blueberries kill every single minion. It's almost so deceptive, being like, hey, here, have this treat, I've got you a snack. And the more you eat, the more it hurts you.
I don't think you... Do you think that the Malzahar Voidlings look like blueberries?
No, I think that the E looks like blueberries. And they're like treats that the minions eat, and the more they eat, the more it consumes them. And so that ends up them forfeiting their life. It's a cruel way to die.
The way that you're looking at me intently in the eyes is just a little unnerving.
Having played enough Malzahar, you think these cruel thoughts. But that's what being in the void for too long does to you, Sifa.
Apparently it's going to net you a tier 2 top lane tower as well, as Millennium are now pushing in, or now forced back rather off this, as Misfits are going to take this one. 6k gold lead, 17 minutes in.
I mean, Millennium is slowly being bled out at this point. They gave away 2 very early kills. One was just a misplay from Pretty, not respecting the all-in from Selfie, definitely not expecting the Ignar roam in the mid as well, and then the dives top from Wisdom and Selfie, which Joko should have been setting up vision for. He knew that Kaze was going to get pushed in, yet didn't do anything to help him out. And it was just oversights from Millennium in the early game that have resulted in Misfits now sitting on a 6k gold lead.
I mean, 3 towers to 0. Selfie just going to walk away. Unfortunately for Shen, the Shadow Dash forward wouldn't have gotten the taunt there in the end either, and Ignar now has to run for his life. Ultimate used. Joko getting aggressive here, but Misfits just going to back off. Millennium moving forward. They see an opportunity, but nothing going to come from it.
Well, it's going to force Ignar back. His ult is going to be down. Infernal Drake is going to be spawning in 5 seconds, so because he's gone... Ooh, close. Because he's gone, it does allow Millennium to quickly set up for the Dragon. They might look to try and rush this one down, but the response from Misfits is swift. We're likely to see a fight here, Sifa.
TB coming in on the backside. Wisdom's on the front lines. He's going to dash away. Hans Sama waiting in the wings. No on the hunt available either, but Selfie's pushing forward. Headbutt pulverized down to the Pretty. Ultimate goes down. The chain CC burns through the mid laner. Joko running for his life. Monsoon going to offer a little bit of healing, a brief respite, but it is not enough as the double kill drops. And Misfits take control of the fight. They've moved on to the Infernal Drake as well. Beautiful engage from Ignar. Masterwork taken down. Tabs, is he next? Ignar just buying time. Flash over the wall for Hansama. He wants some style points, but he isn't going to get it in the end as Wisdom cuts through Masterwork.
The 4-0 in favor of Misfits, just like we saw in Game 2, a commanding fight that went so one-sidedly in their favor. Millenium, they tried to force the Infernal Drake. They wanted to pick up that objective, but they were in no position to contest it. Misfits get themselves the collapse, a really good teleport flank from Alfari, nets them the dragon, nets them the kills, and now they're going to get themselves a bunch of turrets as well.
One tower drops in the mid lane, another to fall on the bottom side, as well as the Infernal Drake, as well as the kills. And things, simply put, do not look good for Millenium.
But things looking great for Misfits, and moving forward towards the promotion tournament, these bottom tier teams need to be terrified of the storm that is heading their way. So have a look at Alfari. He comes in from the flank, great pillar into a knockup onto Pretty. Means that Selfie can very easily get the kill. Kaze then doing what he can to try and provide peel for the rest of his team, but it just isn't enough.
And you got to feel bad for Kaze, and we'll watch this Ignar headbutt pull just so clean.
Really good execution from Ignar. The two-pronged attack, one from the top, one from the rear. Hans goes in for the dive, and then Ignar's like, whoa, dude, I don't have enough health. Which means that Tabs does get away with his life, but still, 4 kills for 0 in favor of Misfits. 10,000 gold lead at 20 minutes once again. So let's see if they can close things out a little bit quicker, as Joko looks for a potential roam onto Selfie.
Not going to get it. Knock away that spell immunity. Knock away that shield for a brief moment, but the higher the level the Malzahar gets, the easier it is for him to get that back. Of course, they've been playing around the passive well thus far, but unfortunately has not really net them too much outside of that first blood. Void Shift, a good ability to be aware of, but that alone not enough to win you the game, unfortunately.
Void Shift sounds like a dance move to me.
Probably is. Maybe that's the name of his dance.
Could very well be. I like it. We should.
Except I think that's a real dance and it has an actual name.
Yeah, but we should work on our Void Shift. I think that'd be great caster intro, Sifa.
Next season,
I feel like I can't tell if you're like disappointed.
No,
but Joko, he's definitely disappointed.
Joko may have to be. They're going to burn him down so quickly, but Shen is on the way in. Masterwork has to run for his life. Tries to reset the fight with Monsoon, but it is just a trade of abilities. Ignar maybe too far forward. Selfie throwing in a Voidling to scout this one out.
And now Misfits just taking control of the Baron, just like they did in Game 2. Their objective right now isn't even to start it. They just want to lure Millenium into their trap. And Selfie, he may have found Pretty.
Oh, not going to get the silence, but is going to get the headbutt pull. Ultimate not coming out. Maybe just trying to bait him. Ultimate coming in for the Alistair, though. He's going to have to walk his way out of that one. Joko set to fall. Pretty's trying to do some damage back, but Wisdom gets the knock up onto him. Now the Malefic Visions is cutting him down. Alfari's on the back line. Pretty has to flash forward, but what can he get back? The double kill from Tabs. Millenium are starting to turn this. Do they have the damage? Is it going to be enough? They catch out the bot lane, but the jungler is moving forward. Selfie is on a rampage, and Pretty is set to fall. The pool is going to be enough to disengage. Tabs picking up 2 quick kills, but Misfits still walking away with the advantage.
So 2 for 3 in favor of Misfits, but there were signs of promise there for Millenium. Hansama does get caught out on the back line, but the big problem for Millenium is trying to deal with Selfie. He just does so much damage. The fact that he has so much cooldown reduction means that he can spam these silences, spam the Voidlings, and overall make it so difficult for Millenium to really respond to the output of his damage. So notice that initially his focus is onto Pretty. He doesn't use the ult yet because he's aware of the re-engage. The ultimate from Vlad only hits onto Ignar, and then the moment Selfie sees an opportunity to get a pick, he goes for it. He kills Joko. Hansama thinks he can go for the collapse, doesn't respect the flank from Kaze, gets caught out of position. Tabs then goes on to kill Ignar, and because it's a 3 for 3, Millenium feel like that they can continue on with the fight, but because Wisdom positions in a way that zones Tab from the fight, it then turns it into a 2 versus 2 against Selfie, in which Millenium just could not win. So overall, Misfits netting a kill advantage, but it largely enables them to gain control as they force another fight.
Joko taking a lot of damage, but they're going to be pushed out. Selfie suddenly in trouble. Tabs exhausted. How much damage can they do? He's getting cut down, but it's not going to be enough. Running away. Alfari now moving in, trying to get something back. Tabs, drop, Wisdom on the backline. Masterwork trying to buy a reprieve for his mid laner, but he's caught in the thick of it. It is simply a meat grinder in the favor of Misfits, as Pretty is now set to fall. He's going to drop. Ignar trying to keep this fight going. Kaze knocked back into the team. The alley-oop overall, but the Spirit's Refuge buys him a bit of time as he starts to fall. Masterwork takes down Ignar, but Han Sama's going to get the top laner, and Misfits are going to get the Baron.
Misfits just continue to smash as they get themselves another 4 kills down onto Millenium. Ignar trades away his life simply due to the overconfident play of diving that turret, but it just does not matter because Misfits are going to net themselves the Baron. They're going to increase their gold lead to 14k. And have a look at how this all started off. Millenium, they try to force the play. Joko takes so much damage initially. And things, they're not looking that bad, but then once the TP from Alfari comes in, he just says, there is no way that I'm going to let my prey escape. Continues on with the chase, continues beating down onto Millenium. Kaze's already forced out of the fight. And then it's just a matter of cleanup for the side of Misfits. Once again, they don't lose any members. You can see Ignar helps his team get themselves a kill onto Kaze, but good play from Masterwork to enable the return onto Ignar.
A consolation prize, if you will, at this stage, but maybe they'll look for more. Ignar once again has a Hextech Protobelt.
Standard.
No.
It's for disengage.
What?
It's for disengage.
If you were watching this and you were in solo queue, unless you were hilariously fed, please don't build a Hextech Protobelt.
Well, now, it actually has some really positive aspects, but enough of that because Masterwork, he's been caught.
I don't really know how many opportunities he has to come back. Kaze's on the way in. Alfari, though, is nigh unkillable. He's going to walk away from this one. Selfie going to have a staring contest with Pretty, and Pretty, he's not going to win that one. Moving down for more. Wisdom on the flank. Is he going to be able to get it? Joker with a flash body slam, looking to buy a little bit more time to save his 80 carry. Wisdom not too happy with that, though. Chilling Smite, the double kill for Selfie, and maybe one more for Wisdom. Look for the disengage. Eye of the Storm goes down. Coling comes out, but Misfits are unconcerned as they cut through the inhibitor tower. And with 3 members down, Misfits are poised to close out the series 3-0.
It looks like Misfits are going to be able to do it. They win a commanding team fight, and Misfits, they want more kills before they end this series.
Closing out with style points as the support drops. 80 carry, if he takes one step outside of the base, will be sure to follow. And Misfits, Game 1 was a long, hard-fought battle, but it has only gotten faster in Game 2, and now as we are poised to end at the 26-minute mark, Misfits take control. The one final fight not going to mean too much. One more staring contest for the Malzahar. One more death for the scoreboard for Gyoko. The double kill for Selfie, the double kill for Han Sama, and the 3-0 for Misfits to close out the Challenger Summer Series.
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Misfits for being your European Summer Split champions in commanding fashion. And what a way to do it. 26 minutes, 49 seconds closing out that Game 3. Things look promising for Millenium in Game 1, but I feel like that the Hulk juices just kept building in the side of Misfits, and they really did smash in the final game.
It was definitely a dominant performance coming in from Misfits. I feel like we saw good things coming in from Millennium in Game 1, but Misfits just showing up in Game 2 and Game 3 to just crush this series out. Now, of course, Millennium now on that lower seed.
They're still in the promotion tournament.
Absolutely, and they face LCS 10, but they do not have the luxury of 2 losses. They're only going to get one shot, one best of 5.
One opportunity, even?
We can, no.
But yes, as you rightly said, it's a bit of a slippery road to go on, but you will be going up against the 10th seed, which right now is Roccat, but obviously the analyst test, they'll talk more about that a little bit later. Right now, what we need to focus on is how dominant Misfits have looked throughout this series. Game 1, they looked smart and calculated. Game 2, they looked super lane dominant. And I feel like Game 3, we just saw a combination of everything. Not only was there lane dominance, there was fantastic roaming from Ignar, great resources, allocation coming out from Wisdom, knowing exactly where to gank and which laners to set up for success, fantastic drafting, seeming to have an endless champ pool, and any team that's even considering looking at Misfits right now should be terrified because they look so good.
Yeah, on an individual level, we know they've been scrimming LCS teams as well and pulling wins out. You have to wonder how they're going to stack up when it comes to promotion tournament, if they can look this dominant against what the LCS has to offer. The bottom of the table, the LCS, admittedly, but still, professional players, teams are going to have to respect Misfits. I mean, what do they work on coming into this? They feel uncontested in their dominance here in Challenger.
I mean, this is it. Right now, they've only been playing challenger teams from what we have seen. It's difficult to say what their big weaknesses are until we see someone really put them up to a challenge that would force them into a corner. And so, right now there are a lot of questions as to whether or not our bottom teams in the LCS can match the top teams of Challenger, but you can't help but think back to Origin. You can't help but think back to Spring Sprint Millennium. You know, you can't think back. It's difficult to not think back to all these fantastic teams.
G2, to all these teams that have come out of nowhere.
Exactly.
And just risen up the ranks.
Exactly.
I want to see more. I want to know how they stack up.
Well, it's only a few weeks until the promotion tournament, Sifa.
That's not what I want to hear. I want more, Vedius.
Well, fortunately, LCS does continue Thursday.
Gonna be week 8. Get your tickets now on eu.lollysports.com. Hashtag sell it.
But I do want to have a quick look at some of the damage dealt.
Yeah, I think.
Funnily enough, Selfie right at the top.
He did 31,000.
The next highest was Tabs on 15.2. So he did double of the second highest. And I do want to give an honorable mention to Tabs because we did wonder how impressive he would actually be. And on this Lucian pick in the final game, taking it away from Hans Sama,
yeah.
I do want to praise him because he did do a good job during the laning phase.
Absolutely, and I think when we look at it too, you can see the draft here on the bottom of your screen, he picked a winning lane. He did win the lane with it. The issue is, of course, that while they were able to win bottom, I mean, honestly, every other single lane just kind of fell apart in the face of that.
Yep, and a large part of that was, in all honesty, wisdom. Just being a very smart player, knowing exactly where to gank. His vision control was good, and it was just the lanes in which he was allocating himself was just really impressive to see. So, very smart draft overall. We wondered whether or not they would change up their bans, and a big question mark for me was why didn't Millennium put more priority on the Trundle? When you're going to ban away the Gnar, you have to think, what else is good into Trundle? Oh wait, nothing? So why would you allow that to go through so late into the draft?
We can see what happens when a Trundle is allowed to run through a game, when he's allowed to get tanky and terrifying. I mean, specifically in that Baron fight, towards the end of that game, you got to see the full raw power this Trundle enabled. And as we look at that replay, we're going to see exactly how this fight unfolded. And while there's so many points at stake, just watch it when the Trundle does arrive here with that TP.
I mean, there are many moments in this game where Millennium did wish they had anti-Hulk juice, but just keep your eyes, because the teleport coming in from the flank, once Millennium realize they can't actually get a kill onto Hans or Selfie, Alfari just comes in and smashes Millennium to pieces. It was so impressive to see, and you can't do anything about it. Vladimir, one of the few champions come the late game that can deal with it, but when you're so far ahead on the Trundle, when you've completed so many of your core items, there's just very little that you can do to really mitigate his ability to just stick on top of you and just crush you into teeny tiny pieces.
Yeah, and of course Ignar, a walking highlight reel this game as he looked for engages left and right, and while there were a few blunders, there were a few blunders. I mean, if a support ever gets to build Proto Belt 2 games in a row, you know he's doing pretty darn well.
To expand upon that a little bit more, on Alistar you only have all in. So once you realize, oops, there's no follow-up, you Proto Belt out. That's the point. See, you're just like, oh no, I'm in trouble. I gotta put, whoa, I'm good again. Alternatively, you could use it for a secondary engage. So I like it, but only get it when you're really far ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I think really curious to see if this will become a meta thing, because I think it's hype, but I mean, honestly,
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how. Well, I'm just curious exactly what they're going to be able to pick as the meta moves forward, and if they continue to be this aggressive with picks. Definitely an interesting. We'll see. We'll see.
We will see.
We'll have to see. Maybe we can hear what they have to say, because you've heard enough from us. So let's send it over to Quickshot and Stress, who are standing by with some of our EUCS summer champions.
Thank you very much, Sifa and Vedius. The Challenger Series Summer Trophy now belongs to Misfits. A convincing, commanding win. Joined here by Alfari and Selfie after what was really a one-sided series. Selfie, what is it that makes Misfits so much better than Millennium?
I think our players are a lot stronger, especially I think Ignar is best support in Europe, even considering LCS team, considering LCS teams. So, and I think everyone on our position is really strong. So, yeah, I think it was easy because of our just skill level.
I think that's really interesting to hear that. Alfari, I want to kind of direct a question your way. You're a guy that I've been watching for a while in the UK scene, playing on multiple different teams. First real challenger experience, now looking straight towards LCS. How's this last couple of months been for you, getting to play against challenger tier and apparently scrimming against some of the LCS's top laners?
I mean, it hasn't been much different to otherwise. Like the level of practice has been slightly higher, but aside from that, there's like not been much difference. Like, yeah, apart from moving to Berlin and just like playing here, it's pretty much been the same.
Could you talk to us a little bit about the gaming house, Alfari? I know that training and practicing here, what's it like? Is it a big change in playing from home in solo queue to now actually being around the team? Is it part of the reason you're so good?
I don't think it's like a reason that we're doing much better. Yeah, like the only real difference is that it's much messier.
Yeah, well, with Coaches Week, we saw some of the team houses definitely can be that way. Selfie, certainly not your first rodeo when it comes to stage experience. Looked like a very convincing series for you as an individual and you as a team. Looking forwards perhaps to the promotion tournament, do you see any threatening teams there at all? Are there any players that you're potentially worried about?
Not really worried. I think I don't really know which teams are going to go relegations yet because the season didn't end. But I think there's like bottom teams, there's like Vitality, and I think Vitality could be pretty strong if they would go relegations.
Well, we'll have to find out who actually makes it there. Just before we carry on the discussion about the promotion tournament, let's talk a little bit about MVP. Alfari, we gave it to you. Crushing lane all 3 times. Very good matchup. I had a question backstage. I said, were you just so much better than Kaze, or was Kaze just that bad? What's your opinion? Which direction is it?
I mean, Kaze is pretty bad, but I guess I'm okay too. But yeah, I mean, Kaze is pretty bad.
Does it help getting Na in 2 decent matchups for the first 2 games?
Yes, but that's mainly because of Kaze's champion pool. I don't know how good it is, but yeah. Yes, I don't think he has a very big champion pool, pretty much.
I got one last question before we look at some of the promotion tournament, how it's going to play out for you guys. Can you give us some insight into some of the scrims that you guys are doing? It's very clear you are leaps and bounds above the challenger teams, but how are scrims going in terms of LCS level and LCS teams and the performances that you guys are putting out? Let's start with Alfari.
I mean, it's fine. Like, scrims are good, I guess. I don't want to talk too much about it because, like, Selfie knows more, I guess, after this tweet.
My team doesn't like when I talk about scrims after I wrote something on Twitter, but we're doing well. And yeah, we're doing well, and I'm ready for promotion.
It certainly sounds like it. Yamato Cannon was brave enough to say that you guys have taken games from Splice and they're looking great in LCS. So certainly, even LCS coaches are giving some kudos over to our now challenger summer champions.
Exactly. So congratulations on that one. Let's look now forward again to some of the promotion teams. If Vitality drop, Roccat are pretty much secured. Do you think Origin is going to be in the promotion tournament, or do you think they'll scrap their way back up to playoffs, Alfari?
Personally, I don't. But who knows? I think the new addition, Gakis, isn't really going to help them much, so I think we'll still see them in relegations.
Oh, strong words.
Toaster.
Yeah, Toaster. Changing to the new nickname, of course. Selfie, and what about Millenium? Obviously, you guys handily took them down. They will be placing the LCS number 10 team, likely Roccat, at this stage. Do you care to make a prediction on who you think might win that one to advance to the next stage?
I think Roccat is better. I don't think they're like that much better, but they're better because they were screening a lot more like LCS teams, and I don't think challenger teams usually don't get that many LCS scrims. So I think Roccat has edge.
I think when we look at them, Roccat, it's going to be an interesting one. Whoever then goes onwards obviously has a little tough test with the second portion of promotion tournament. So there's a lot of interesting stuff still to come in that promotion tournament bracket. And as we go through the last couple of weeks of the EULCS, teams can still jump. That's the funniest thing. Every team still in the EULCS can make playoffs, so maybe we'll see some crazy stuff happening at the end.
I'll actually just quickly break down the promotion tournament for maybe some of the guys that don't know it. There's 2 stages to it. The challenger number 2 team, which we have just locked in as Millenium, will play the LCS number 10. There will be a best of 5 single elimination, and the loser is done and will not be advancing to the next stage. Then there'll be 4 teams remaining. LCS number 8, LCS number 9, and of course Challenger Series victors. Then we'll play out in a bracket. There's a double elimination, and we'll find at least 3 of those teams to advance into LCS. We've had G2 Esports come out of Challenger and dominate in spring. Last year we had Origin come out of Challenger, dominate in summer. Selfie, will Misfits come out of Challenger and dominate next spring?
I think we'll do very well in LCS. Yeah, I think we'll do well.
Alfari, do you have anything to add to that, or are we going to leave Selfie alone?
I mean, we have to qualify for LCS first, so.
Fair enough. I like that. I like that one. Guys, congratulations again on the win. Just a quick shout out. Next tournament, North American Challenger Series, will feature Team Liquid Academy taking on Cloud9 Challenger. That starts Thursday at 3 a.m. Central European Summertime, and that is Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think that's what PST means. That does it from here on the European Challenger Series Finals. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Congratulations to Misfits, our European Challenger Series Summer champions. We will be seeing them again in 2 weeks for the 2007 LCS Spring Promotion Tournament. From all of us here on the broadcast team, thanks for watching. Insert a random Pokemon Go reference, and good night. Let's get out of here.
Pretty here.
Oh, he's going to go for the ultimate. Ignar on the way in, keeping the chain CC going. No opportunity. Perfect chain.
Look at how aggressive Selfie's playing. Needs to be careful. Masterwork has joined the fray.
Oh, Tornado comes in. They're trying to knock Selfie back. Has he overcommitted? It looks like it. Uses the ult, but isn't going to get anything back in the end. No on the hunt available either, but Selfie's pushing forward. Headbutt pulverized down into Pretty. Ultimate goes down. The chain CC burns through the mid laner. Misfits take control of the fight. It moved on to the Infernal Drake as well. Beautiful engage from Ignar. Just trying to bait him. Ultimate coming in for the Alistair, though. He's going to have to walk his way out of that one. Joko set to fall. Pretty's trying to do some damage back, but Wisdom gets the knock up onto him. Now the Malefic Visions is cutting him down. Alfari's on the back line. Pretty has to flash forward. Misfits take control. The one final fight not going to mean too much. One more staring contest for the Malzahar. One more death for the scoreboard for Joko. The double kill for Selfie. The double kill for Hansama. And have a bit more healing. Shen on the way in. That's the submarine. Vladimir is unkillable, but Ignar makes it through. They're moving forward. Selfie is overstayed. First blood dropping for Misfit. Alfari jumps over the wall. Meganar on the way. Keep your eyes on that health bar. Baron not going to drop, but Selfie will drop Masterwork. Pretty dashing forward. No one dropping yet, but the arrow's going to land onto Joko. Wisdom moves in for another kill. Misfits taking control of the fight.
Fantastic execution from Misfit, setting up that Baron, drawing Millennium near.
Misfits, after a back and forth early game, managed to pull it out here with a 15,000 gold lead. Flash. He's stepping forward. That's not what you want. Stun coming in from far. Chain CC lined up. Tab set to fall, but the Ignite is on Hansama. First blood drops. Joko here as well. There's a lot of commitment onto the Gnar. Are they going to be able to get him? They're diving onto Alfari. He's set to fall now, but Kaze, is he going to drop too? Yes, Ignar moving back in. Kaze drops tower aggro, but he picks it up one more time to give Ignar the kill. Alfari could be in trouble. Meganar's on the way in, but so is the Tark ult. He's going to be immune to damage. 3 get knocked in. Alfari is crushing Misfits. An insanely commanding win. 5K gold lead at 15 minutes, extending it now to 12,000. More than that, my God.